All right, let's get right into it. Have you ever looked at a garbage truck and thought, what if that's more than just a truck? I mean, what if it was actually a node on a neural network? A data gathering device on the front lines of a huge digital refinery? It sounds a little like science fiction, right? Well, today we're going to see how it's becoming a very real, very radical new reality in the world of industrial waste.
And it all kicks off with a crisis. So back on January 1st, 2026, a massive shift in provincial policy created what's known as a regulatory cliff. And just like that, an entire chunk of the economy, we're talking industrial, commercial, and institutional businesses, was basically orphaned. They were cut off from the municipal recycling services they had depended on for years.
And look, this wasn't just some small hiccup. The sources we've looked at call it a systemic collapse. This created a huge vacuum, a crisis that really demanded a completely new way of thinking about waste. The old model of just dump it and run was officially dead.
So let's really unpack the core problem here. Why couldn't the old system just adapt? Well, the issue wasn't just about moving stuff from A to B. It was about quality, an issue so big it turned millions of tons of material into one massive liability. And this slide just lays it all out, what's called the quality gap. On one side, you've got the messy reality of construction waste. It's all over the place, it's contaminated, it's totally undocumented. And the recovery rate? A measly 16%. But on the other side, you have the new biocarbon market, which demands scientific precision, feedstock with less than 10% moisture and less than 1% contamination. That massive gap made raw construction wood a huge, costly problem.
So, how in the world do you bridge a gap that wide? Well, you don't just build a better garbage truck. You build what's called a sentient bridge. And this is where the 905 Wood Digital Refinery enters the picture. It's not just a solution, it's a complete transmutation of the material itself.
Let's break that term down. Sentient bridge. It sounds pretty cool, right? It's not just some app or software. It's described as a full-on cyber-physical engine. Its entire purpose is to take an undocumented physical liability, like a big pile of scrap wood, and transform it into a highly verified asset with a perfect digital record. A digital twin, if you will.
And you can really see that transformation right here. On the left, you've got this chaotic physical mess of waste, and on the right, a structured, data-rich digital asset. See, the system doesn't just see junk. It sees geometry, it sees purity, it sees potential value. It's literally converting industrial waste into valuable carbon assets. So how does this whole transmutation thing actually get started? Well, it begins right at the source, out on the front lines, where the digital world meets the physical grime of a construction site. This is all about putting intelligence right at the edge.
And this is the tool that makes it all happen. Every single operator gets what's called an industrial edge node. It's a ruggedized Google Pixel 10 Pro, probably running on a future version of Android, say Android 16. But this is no off-the-shelf phone. It's supercharged with a custom 3nm Tensor G5 chip and the Light-RT AI stack, all built specifically to survive in these tough industrial environments.
Now, check this out in action. The operator just points the device at a bin of wood, and in less than 2 seconds, bam, the AI identifies all the clean lumber, but it also instantly spots contaminants, like that piece of pressure-treated wood. The entire load gets flagged immediately. This is basically the precautionary principle happening in real time.
Okay, so the really crucial part here is how it does this so fast. It's using Edge AI, running a super efficient model like Gemini 3 Flash right on the device itself. That means you get zero latency. And here's the real game changer. It works perfectly offline. So whether an operator is deep in a concrete basement or out in a new subdivision with zero cell service, the analysis still happens instantly. Compliance is never held hostage by a bad connection.
The hardware itself is a huge piece of this strategy. That custom 3nm Tensor G5 chip, it's way more efficient, and it's built for thermal stability, so it can run a full 8-hour shift in blistering heat or freezing cold without slowing down. It's got the sustained AI muscle needed to analyze a massive 40-yard bin, all in real time.
Okay, so we've got all this intelligence out there in the field, at the edge, but where does all that data actually go? Let's move from the frontline tool to the central nervous system of this whole thing, the digital refinery core.
And here it is, the command portal. This is basically mission control. It's where every single piece of data from every single device comes together. From here, dispatch can see the whole fleet, manage logistics, and, this is the really cool part, track the real-time carbon yield that's being generated across the entire Southern Ontario region.
But before any of that material is officially accepted, it has to pass one final, supercritical test, establishing what they call ground truth. When the trucks roll into the central hub, the material is scientifically validated. And this is way more than just a quick look. It's a deep scan that creates an unforgeable record of purity.
And they do this using some seriously advanced sensors, all tied directly to government rules like Ontario Regulation 347. You've got XRF sensors using X-rays to hunt for elemental contaminants like arsenic. Then there are NIR sensors using near-infrared light to measure moisture and create unique spectral fingerprints. If anything exceeds hazardous limits, it gets flagged automatically. And all of this data, it's sealed in an immutable ledger using AlloyDB.
So this entire process is what creates the digital twin. And it's more than just a bunch of data. It's an actual evidentiary file. It permanently links the GPS coordinates, the timestamp, the AI analysis from the field, and the scientific sensor data from the hub to every single shipment. What you end up with is a perfect, unchangeable audit trail. Now, to handle all this complex regulatory stuff, the backend uses something called a Retrieval Augmented Generation System, or RAG. The easiest way to think about it is like having an expert AI team that's constantly reading the latest version of Ontario Regulation 347. It uses a whole suite of models like Gemini 3.1 Pro for analysis, Claude Opus 4.6 for complex interpretation, even a powerful open-source model GPT-OS to cross-reference all the data and completely automate compliance. The chain of custody becomes digitally perfect. And all this amazing tech enables a complete, revolutionary shift in the business model. The old way? You just got an opaque, flat-rate bill for waste removal. The new way decouples the billing. So clients see the cost of logistics and disposal, sure, but they also see levies for contamination or credits for purity. It's a system designed to trigger real behavioral change, right at the source. All right, we've seen the problem, we've seen the technology, and we've seen the new economic model. So now for the final act, the best part, the payoff. How does all this data and verification turn what used to be a liability into a genuine, monetizable asset?
Well, for big corporate clients, the value proposition is actually pretty simple. This system sells trust. It starts by scanning the raw materials right on site. That data then creates a verifiable digital product passport. And that passport automatically plugs into the client's own corporate ESG dashboard, giving them the verified data they desperately need for their Scope 3 environmental compliance reports. And this is the ultimate payoff. A single ton of dry, verified wood is transformed into an asset that represents 3/4 of a ton of sequestered carbon. I mean, think about that. This fundamentally changes the whole relationship. The client is no longer just a polluter paying someone to haul away their garbage. They are now a resource supplier, actively generating a valuable carbon credit. So, the final output of all this is an audit-ready, machine-readable certificate of origin. It's packed with a 9-point verification, everything from GPS coordinates to a cryptographic hash, which makes it the kind of high-fidelity proof businesses will need for the upcoming 2029 landfill ban. This document is so solid, it even acts as a USMCA shield, proving the material's origin to get around cross-border tariffs.
So really, the vision here is so much bigger than just wood. This is a blueprint for a whole new class of critical infrastructure. It's a multi-layered system of logistics, edge intelligence, commerce, and compliance, all built for the coming circular bioeconomy. And it leaves us with a pretty provocative question, doesn't it? What other streams of so-called waste are just sitting out there, waiting for their own digital refinery to come along and unlock all their hidden value?